Tim here with TLC Pressure Washing, and we're out here. We're doing different types of sealer. We're going in back brushed concrete, which is kind of like that type of concrete. We're going to be doing a penetrating sealer. Up here is a acrylic 30% solid topical sealer. So what first thing I'm going to do is go in. Of course, we clean this. This is totally dry. We had to wait about a week with the rain, and now it's dry enough. I'm going to be filling those cracks up, trying to get those cracks filled, putting sand in there, and then sealer on top, trying to bridge that gap, and then we'll put a nice coat on all of it. But first thing I'm going to do is hit the cracks, because that takes the longest. That's the most amount of work, putting that sand in there and drizzling it over and trying to get it soaked in. It's a pain, but that's where we're going to start. So join me as we look at this. Let me take just a moment and show you how we seal some cracks. I'm going to do a little small area just to show you. We've already worked a lot of this area, but what I've got is basic play sand. I've got a dark color because this is dark. I've got a light color for the light ones, but you know, and I've got a rubber mallet to vibrate, and I've got a brush, deck brush. I'll show you what to do with that. And I've got some clear sealer. Now I use clear sealer whether I'm using a clear coat or a tinted, mainly because if you put a tint on and then you put a tint on top of it, it's going to be darker. If you put a clear on, it's going to be darker, but not as dark, because your layering is thicker on all those cracks. So this is a clear tint on top, so clear tint on the bottom, of course. So first thing I do is I take my sand like so, and I follow the cracks, and I try to put a bunch in there, and I'm going to push it down in there, and I'm going to vibrate it. Try to vibrate it down some. Now I'm going to brush the excess off, and I can follow that crack. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump sealer on it, and I'm going to try to just get it as much just in that crack as possible. I'm going to be really generous with it. If I start seeing it all of a sudden disappear, where it's wetting this sand and dropping down, then I'll go over it with, like it's dropping there, it dropped down into a hole. I'll put more sealer in there. I want to flood that area, because I may not be able to fill that old hole up with sand. Oh, there's one that popped up right there. So I'm going to flood that area and try to fill that gap with sealer if possible. And eventually what I may have to do is I may have to take a little pinch and put on top of it and kind of seal it off. So now I've got sand here, and then wet sand here. So what I'll do is I'll blow all this off and get rid of all the excess sand that's over here in between on both sides of the two cracks. I'll get rid of that, and then we'll do a full coat on everything. But that's essentially, now is that foolproof? No. Does it help quite a bit? Yes. I have not found anything else. I've tried the pre-made crack fillers, and within about a year they've usually dropped down and opened up and vibrated up. This is not 100% either, but it does look good, and it's the best that I've been able to come up with. But that's how we do cracks. Tim Moore, TLC Pressure Washing. Here we go. Let's get some sealer on this. And there we go, recoat. This is the first one we've actually recoated before. And you can tell this definitely was beginning to wear. Sun, UV damage, you know, things like that. But it still did a good job. But it was time. So there it is. Looks good. 10 more. TLC Pressure Washing, aggregate sealing, and concrete sealing.